guys, we're super excited to be here at the LA Fit Expo. It's our third year in a row. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs. And we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
When you're asleep, they're just getting started. John Romano, Dave Palumbo, After Hours.
Welcome back to After Hours. I am Dave Palumbo today. I don't know what I was yesterday, but I'm Dave Palumbo today, and I'm joined by John Romano and Gregg Valentino. Welcome back, guys. How's it going over there?
Good.
Same old shit. Dog chasing his tail.
You know,
what? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the feel-good story. Didn't want to start with bad news. I would say the feel-good story of the weekend has to be, and I don't know if you guys were following the Cal Pro that actually wasn't in California this year. It was actually in Vegas. We could talk about that in a minute. Antoine Vaillant has won the show. He's going to the Olympia. I wanted to bring him up because, you know, we know a lot of guys that started out in bodybuilding were prodigies when they were younger, and then they fell, you know, to drugs and partying, and some of them, you know, most of them just disappeared. Antoine was literally living on the street. He was broke. He spent all his money. He had nothing. No one wanted anything to do with him, and the guy picked himself up out of the gutter, essentially, and made a comeback 2 years ago, successfully placed, you know, in the top 5. Then he, you know, last year he was supposed to really make his mark. He tore his bicep, set himself back. I was very concerned about his mental state, but he stayed focused, and now he's going to the Olympia. I mean, how awesome is that? What a great story, right, John?
It's a great story, but, you know, it begs to ask the question, and I know you do, Dave, because you do this. You work with most of these guys. Yeah. But, Greg, do you know who that is?
I know who Antoine Vaillant is, yes.
But I mean, in general, the question I mean to ask you is, in general, do you know who the national champion rivals are in bodybuilding today?
No, I most of the time I can't even tell you who the top 5 in the Olympia are anymore.
Well, but I mean, national level. I mean, you know, Mr. USA, Mr. And I'm working on this ebook, and I'm going to do some past records, and I'm looking at what it took to be a pro back in the 80s. You ought to win a national show. You didn't get your pro card at the national show. You got to go to the universe.
I remember that.
All that when you won the nationals, you qualified for the universe. Then you ought to win the universe and you get a pro card. Right. Back then, pro cards were like, that was a big deal to get an IFBB Pro card. Now, the fucking beer tub girl at Rock Bar has a freaking beer.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. How many girls were at shows, and there's like, you know, there's 40-something Pro cards going out to like bikini girls. And you get these girls like, yeah, I'm an IFBB Pro. And I'm sitting there going, holy fuck, you know. There was a girl back when all this bikini shit really started getting big who never even went to a gym, just had a really hard body, and she fucking used to do like fucking shit at her house in front of the television, you know, and she got a pro card. It's too much though, but they killed the sport.
No, but you know what? I thought that too, Greg, at first. I thought, you know what, it devalued the pro card because I worked so hard to get one, I couldn't even get one. But you know what? Things change. And you know what? You can't be an old man, and we can't like say, wow, back in the day. It's different now. There's a million divisions. There's more people competing, way more people competing. There's way more shows to do. So you need to have more pros available to do all this if you want the sport to grow. So I understand it. So what we're saying is the IFBB Pro card status is not as valuable as it maybe was, or you don't become as important a person just because you have a pro card. Now, if you don't win a pro show, it doesn't matter anymore. Being a pro is not the same level of sacredness that it held when we were starting out in the 80s and 90s as it does today. However, if you win a pro show, I think that validates you because now you're validated as, you know what, you got a pro card, but you're actually good too, you know?
Well, it's switched.
Yeah.
It switched.
Right.
Back then, it meant a lot to the athlete to get a pro card.
Right.
Now it doesn't mean as much to the athlete, but it means more to the promoter. When back then the promoter got 7 guys in the show. Now
John's right. I agree, John. I remember it was exciting when you saw these young guys. They were coming up, the Rory Liedermeyers, the Matt Mendenhalls. They were as popular as any pro and then you couldn't wait to see who was actually going to win the national.
But Greg, you make a good point. I'm glad you picked Matt Mendenhall and Rory Liedermeyer. Isn't it a disgrace that those guys never got their pro card?
Absolutely. They could have been phenomenal.
If they would have got their pro card, they probably would have competed as pros and maybe been, maybe they wouldn't have disappeared into the woodwork. They would have become big names. So in a sense, the fact that it was so hard to get a pro card maybe was not a good thing back then. Maybe that was a bad thing because it stopped these great talents from ever, going on to being, bigger and better things. And Edgar Fletcher, I mean, was he not a pro? I mean, physique?
What about that kid that you were talking about last week? I forgot his name. I knew him too. The big guy, the really, 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 really big guy.
Vic Richards?
No.
Oh.
He became a pro. You were talking about him last week. I can't believe I forgot his name.
Not Anthony Pasquale.
No. You were talking about him last week. Remember, John? I think John brought him up or something. He was so big.
That big, huge kid that you did. I thought you helped him.
Which one?
He just won.
Oh, the kid who won? Oh, yeah. Nick Walker.
Yeah.
No.
Nick Walker. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the big.
Back when we were working with MD, I remember seeing there was this guy. He was what you talked about him last week, John. I thought.
Yeah. He did the backflips. He did the. What was his name?
The really big guy. He was tall, big.
Trey
Brewer.
Trey Brewer.
Oh, Trey Brewer. Okay.
Not Trey.
Well, yeah, but he didn't deserve to get a pro card. He just never put it all together. But that's a different story. But if you are, the guys in the 90s and 80s were consistently placing high, they were losing to guys like Flex Wheeler, and guys like that, and Mike Matarazzo and Lavroni. I mean, look at Dean Caputo. He should have been a pro too.
I was just going to say Dean Caputo too.
So
yeah, but you know what? But what happened was though, Greg, you were there at Gold Gym back. I mean, at one time in 1 hour in the afternoon, you'd have Matt Mendenhall, Mike Christian, Dean Tormany, Charles Glass, 10 other guys who. Luis Fritas. I mean, we had any Victor Richards, the Barbarian Brothers, but as far as competitors go, there was at any one time there was 10 or 15 guys getting ready for the national show, the America, the Universe. These guys, and they were all competing, with each other, and that's when bodybuilding was a tight.
Oh my God!
More tightly.
Well, because there was no internet, the social media, John, was in the gym. That was a social environment. There was no social media.
Absolutely.
That was my next
point. But to your point, Dave, is that that group was very small. Yeah, you want to have a lot of pros now to grow the sport, but I think there's other ways of doing that than diminishing the mystique of the actual pro card.
Well, I think what should have happened, John, is they should have had, when they do master pro cards, first of all, that you should be a master's pro. You shouldn't be an open pro. I think that was a mistake. And they can't go back now, obviously. But if you got an IFBB pro card from winning a master event, you're a master pro.
Right.
That they should have kept that separate. I think that was a huge mistake. And if these masters guys are good enough, then they should go back and have to qualify to get a regular pro card. That
100%.
kind of really watered it down.
And I think the same you could say for bikini, men's and women's bikini. These shows that drag in a lot of people who are not bodybuilders.
Yeah, but that's okay, because you know what? If you're the best of the bikini, then you deserve an IFBB bikini card. I think that maybe it should be called an IFBB Pro bodybuilding card. I don't know, to give it a little bit.
I think it should separate what an IFBB Pro athlete card is versus what a beer tub girl is.
Oh, come on. They're not beer tub girls anymore. It started out like that, though. That's disrespectful. These girls work hard. The girls at the top look good, but it's a bikini division. It is what it is. I understand what you're saying. But it doesn't diminish what they're accomplishing.
Whoa. I am not saying they don't work hard.
Well, you call them a beer tub girls. Come on, that's a little.
But what I'm saying is they're not pro athletes.
Why not? They're the best at they're the best in their division. That's what the division demands. That's why I think wellness is ridiculous, because it demands less than perfection.
No, just give him a trophy for that. Give him a trophy for that. Don't call him an IFBB pro and then put him next to an IFBB pro, because this is an IFBB pro. This is not. It's clear.
IFBB stands for International Federation of
Bodybuilders.
We don't give a shit. To me, the bikini girls should have their own thing, their own.
All right, let me give you guys an analogy. If you have a Screen Actors Guild card, do you have one, Greg?
Yes.
Okay, I have one too. Would you put us now next to like Robert Redford or
No.
No, we're not in that same class of actor.
Right.
Sidney Poitier. No, we're jokes compared to them, but we got the same SAG card they do, and we're in the same Screen Actors Guild, right?
Yeah,
because we act.
That's a union.
Doesn't matter. I'm giving you an example of the fact that you could be an IFBB Pro card if you're the best in bikini and that you qualify for that card. Fine. I don't think a 60-year-old person, even though I've just helped a 70-year-old guy win his IFBB Pro card, I think he should be a Master Pro. I think there should be a different category for that.
I agree with that, but I think John is 100% right. I don't think this is bodybuilding. It's not bikinis. You know what I'm saying? It's a totally. They should have a women's bikini show. A WB.
The board short guys too. They should be in there with them. I'm not segregating men and women. It's you cannot ever lose the essence of a sport. If you're racing MotoGP or Formula One, you don't throw a fucking dune buggy in there to see how it'll do.
So you're saying they should make a different nomenclature for the card?
Yes.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
All right, but let me tell you one thing though.
Yeah.
And this is a fact. I think John, you definitely agree with me with this. Nobody gives a fuck anymore who wins the Olympia as much. Okay, I know there's a few guys out there gonna watch this and go, "Yeah, fuck you fucking whatever." You know, it's not true. Okay, more people today. Rich Piana proved that. More people today follow bodybuilding for the guys that they see on the internet. They don't give two shits. This guy just won the nationals or this guy. I'm sorry, but it's more popular by who's on YouTube. These guys, there's guys out there they could sit and make videos or walk in the Arnold Classic and everybody will fucking mob them. You know what I mean? To go, and meanwhile, it's a different entity because the sport has now been so diluted. Like, I think that's kind of what John was saying. It's so watered down now, with the broadness of bikinis and this and that and the other thing, that, bodybuilding is more of a, it's so niche now. That
Greg, let me ask you this question. 25 years ago, how many bodybuilding fans do you think there were?
But are they bodybuilding? I know what you're going to say.
Greg, let's throw a big number out there. 100,000 throughout the world. Does that sound about right? 100,000 hardcore bodybuilding fans.
Maybe more, but still.
All right, let's just throw it out as just for the simplicity of math, okay?
Okay.
Nowadays, how many IFBB Pro and bodybuilding cultural fans are there? Okay, millions and millions. So. Yes. When you say, you're correct, when you say most people could care less about the Olympia, statistically speaking on a numbers basis, you're right. Because most of those millions just want to go on social media and watch Rich Piana. They want to watch Nick's Strength and Power and see what the latest, hottest thing in the sport is. They don't care about the analysis that we're doing or the in-depth interviews or, all that type of stuff because they're not the hardcore fans, that 100,000 people just making up an arbitrary number. They're the millions that like the my father would call the pop culture aspect of bodybuilding.
But let me ask you a question. If they said, we're going to run the Arnold Classic, okay? Yeah. But fuck the bodybuilding show, fuck all the other shit, just come and we're going to have the expos and everything. Right. You won't lose a person. Everybody will
No, because that's the pop culture. That's the majority of the people. Like the whole idea of training and growing and now drugs and supplements and protein shakes and all that stuff. They love that. because it's the cultural thing. They don't necessarily care about the competing, but that's the majority of the people. But the hardcore bodybuilders are still there. It's the same numbers. It's just a comparison to the rest of people. It seems low. That's all.
They're watered down. But what about guys? All right, but would John started this before we started talking, and he's right. What about guys like John and I? I'm just going to use John and I for example, because we were there back in the fucking very early 80s. I was there in 81 and and all that. And I knew every bodybuilder who competed, even in the fucking local shows and shit. I mean, I knew everything. Now, how come, what happened to guys like John and I that don't really have that, competition?
You're old men. You're like me. You become extinct. I don't think they were old men. That's all.
I think it's two things.
Go ahead.
One is we got older and more disillusioned with the loss of what our brotherhood was. Because
right, that's what it is. You said it.
Back then, and Greg, you know this, and Dave, you were there a few times. You could have the worst shit day in the entire world. Where would you go? You went to the gym. It's where all your buddies were. We had nothing to do. Where did you go? You went to the gym because two guys were hanging around waiting to go eat or something. You had a central community of like-minded people that was ironclad accepting of you because of who you are and what you were doing. And Greg and I, because we came up during that very intensified environment of bodybuilding, we miss that. We miss that.
Yeah,
we go to the gym now, and it's just.
But what did we say back in the day? We want to grow the sport. We kept saying that. We got to grow the sport. We got to grow the sport. We need public mainstream appeal to the sport. That's going to make the sport grow, and it's going to make it more acceptable. That's what's happening. I think I think what's happening is you just don't like where it's going. But that's unfortunately public.
But I don't think you're not growing the sport. Nobody gives a shit.
But Greg, you're not right, because you're not gonna. The majority of the people don't care who Mr. Olympia is.
There's the sport part of bodybuilding, and there's the lifestyle part of bodybuilding.
They go together, though, Greg. Without Mr. Olympia, there is no lifestyle. There is nothing to aspire to. You don't have to want to look like Brandon Curry to go out to the gym and train. But that's what I'm looking at when I'm going to the gym and saying, man, I want to put muscle on because that looks cool, even though I know I may never achieve that. That's the
I think Rich Piana proved. I think that Rich Piana proved that the people just want people want that part without the sport. There's guys.
Well, because people are lazy, Greg. They want to just take drugs and eat a lot of food, and they don't want to necessarily diet hard and have to do all the things that entail getting on stage and competing, practicing your posing, suffering, every day until you lose all your body fat. They don't want to do that. That's not the fun part. So they'll do the other part, which doesn't entail that. But I understand. That's still bodybuilding,
I just feel it's just there's something there that we lost that taste. You know what I mean? It's like your grandmother.
John said it perfectly. You lost. It was a time you think back to where it was so good. It's like when you watch an old movie and you say, "Wow," it brings you back to your high school years when you remember going to see that movie with some girl in a drive-thru. You know what I mean? You say, "Oh my God, holy!" I remember those are great times, and that's what you guys remember. That Gold's Gym camaraderie, it can never be recreated again because it's right now the only way you can create it is go on Instagram, or TikTok or whatever the case may be, and watch people doing kooky stuff on there. That's the subculture now,
Well, I think the other aspect that I think is partially problematic for guys like Greg and me is that whatever caused us to lose interest in that, it was back then it was happening right in front of us. You're training next to this guy, and then on a weekend you see him. He's on the stage, fighting for the America or the Universe or the Olympia, right there next to you, And so you had that connection to the sport because the competitors were right there with you training in the gym. So now when it's doesn't mean that much to be an IFBB pro or have an IFBB pro card because fuck everybody's got one, And and the beer tub girl at Rock Bar is not an actual girl at an actual place. That is a euphemism. okay, before I get all the hate mail that Greg doesn't get, because
I get it.
yeah, I mean, people take things so literally. The beer tub girl's an image. It's not a professional athlete.
I know
You don't
what you
look at
mean.
this girl and see an Olympic pole vaulter. You see a freaking beer tub girl is what you see.
But can I say one thing for John's? I don't speak for John, but I think John's going to agree. John and I, when we talk like this, and I want everybody who's watching this to know, okay, this is a fact. We both love bodybuilding still. We do it every day. I have not lost a beat. I got fucking cancer, a whole bit and all that shit, but I still train the way I always did. I still take it that serious. I'm talking about the competitive part of who's winning shows and who's not winning shows. That's the part of bodybuilding that I think John and I don't give a shit about. You know what I mean? I can't really, I'm not saying John doesn't give a shit. I'm interested sometimes in who wins the Olympia and all that, the big things, but I don't have it like I did. But I'm still super into bodybuilding. I work out every day. I try to eat good. I'm taking supplements, and I do all that stuff. I do everything that I've always done. It's just the commercial part of it has gotten so watered down, and that I don't give a shit. These guys today all look the fucking same. It's all of that I don't. So I don't want to sound like an old man.
But is that just you, Greg, because you're not keeping up on it? Because you know what I mean? When you're younger, certain things matter more to you, and then when you get older, your thinking and your interests evolve. So yeah, you're still involved in the lifestyle.
You can't miss these guys. We're all on social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook. We see them. We see them just like everybody else sees them. There's no draw. There's no super.
No, here's I know. You know what the problem is? There's no backs. You know how like when you go watch a movie, sometimes the character development is not good enough for you, and you can't really emotionally get behind the character, so you leave the movie kind of thinking, well, it wasn't that great. And then there's other movies where they develop the character so much that you actually feel like you're the character in the movie. I think what you're saying is that it's too easy for these guys necessarily to move up the ranks initially. And it's hard to get behind people because you almost don't know who they are because they turn pro so quickly. There's no backstory. There's no character development.
Wait a minute. Let me use the bikini girls for 1 second.
Forget bikini. Let's talk bodybuilding.
Yeah, but wait. I'm gonna use example though.
Okay.
If you go to a show, okay, this is what it is. I think a lot too. If you go to a show and there's bikini girls there, and I've been backstage, and there's fucking literally at the Universe show, there's fucking 400 of them, okay?
Right.
And if you said, I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to get in trouble, but there's a very famous guy who you both know who runs judging and all that shit. And I said to him, dude, every one of these girls is amazing. How do you pick the top 4? And top 5, and he said I picked which ones I would fuck first. and I'll tell you who said that. Believe me, and you're not going to want to say a negative thing about this particular person. Yeah. But here's the point: it's so watered down that you can't focus on the certain girls. Even back then, in those days, you loved the Gladys. You loved,
Let me ask you this question: if you trained. Excuse me. Holy mackerel. If you no COVID, I got COVID. If you train these girls, like you're a coach of bikini girls, wouldn't you know who all the top girls are? Because that would be your job.
Of course.
No, there's too many. Wait,
no, of course, there's not too many. You would know every single one of them because that would be in your best interest because you got 15 girls that you're working with.
Wait a minute. The reason why I used the bikini girls, I was using them as porn. I'm not putting bikini down. I love the bikini. I don't like.
Well, we could say figure. I'm saying if you trained girls, you would know who all the girls are. You wouldn't be saying there's a million of them. You'd be like, you know who all the top ones are and all the girls who are going to get the pro card are. You would know them all.
Wait, listen. I think you're missing the point I'm trying to make. The big pool, it's such a pool of people. The reason why I use bikini girls was they for a while there, they were getting the most competitors. I mean, there's so many of them.
They still do.
Right. So, but now what I'm saying is it's hard to zone in on, like these particular girls. It's the same thing with bodybuilding is what I'm saying. There's so many shows. There's so many pros. You don't have enough to zone in on. Back in the day when you said,
well, you don't. You don't. I guarantee if you ask the judges, they know who all the girls are.
Yeah, because that's their job.
Right. Right. So what I'm saying is your job has changed. Maybe back in the day you would have been more into it because you're in the
No,
gym,
but I'm
you
saying
own
the
your own
average-
gym, you got all these competitors working out there, asking your advice. You'd be looking through the magazines, looking at all the girls, so you would know who everyone was. But you know, it's not in your interest anymore. You're not that interested by it.
Yeah, but I still love baseball. I still love the same shit I loved back then. Listen what I'm trying to tell you. Back then, even up in the 90s when you had Dorian and all those guys, you had about 20 to maybe 25 guys that were really good, okay? And the rest, it was just, but you had 25 guys. You could zone in. It was more like, oh, who's going to win the Olympics? It's going to be this one. It's going to be that one. It's not some guy from the Middle East shows up, what's his name? Mo Dickstein or whatever.
But that's just because you don't pay attention. I know who all the top guys are. I know what all their names are. Because it's my job.
It's your job.
Yeah, it's my job.
But as fans,
right. All right, here, let me change.
Wait.
Hold on, let me just change something for you. Then you can say something. Let's say there was no social media or internet, okay? And Bleckman had a 1,000-page magazine going now, okay? And that's where all the results and the bodybuilding was in there. And the only way you could have any in touch, unless you go to the shows with bodybuilding, is read the magazine. You would get your monthly magazine, the Bleckman's copy of 1,000 pages. 750 would be ads, of course, and you would read through the pages 100 times because you'd have a month to do it, and you'd know who all the people were. Right, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not willing to go to 16 social media sites and 4,000 Instagram profiles. It's too complicated. That's what the problem is. That's why. Yes.
And that right there is the flies in the ointment. Because what happens is the prestige now is gone.
Yeah.
Because back then, people knew who was competing in the Olympia because that was it.
Right.
Or the America or the whatever. And we had the magazines. It was a big deal. It was a huge deal to get your cover on.
Absolutely.
Your picture on the cover of a magazine. It was a huge deal to have your article by, you. It was that was prestige.
Right.
Now, any swinging dick in the gym can get his picture on the fucking internet. Any
swinging can you advertise? I'll put you on the cover.
And get their byline on an article or a blog or what. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
No.
It's just there's no.
Well, you have to establish. You have to create your own prestige. Look at it like a Dana Lynn Bailey, for instance. Everyone knows who she is.
Yes, but it's like
it was on the onus was on her to do that.
If I had a factory and I made Ferraris, okay, and I would make 2 Ferraris a year and they cost $8 million each because there was only 2 of them. Right. Now all of a sudden, some German guy buys my company and says, "Oh, you're doing this all wrong. You got to do it like this." And now I'm making 5,000 Ferraris an hour. Okay. Is it any less of a Ferrari? No, it's still a fucking Ferrari, but everybody's got one.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So it doesn't mean anything anymore. Right. It's still a great car. It's still the ultimate, but it doesn't have that mystique anymore because it's just everybody's got one. There's no.
What if they?
It's too easy.
Right. What if they expanded baseball and they said, you know what, we're going to throw another 10, 15 teams in there, really make it so that you have to compete. That you would start being like, that's too much now.
It would water it down.
Right.
You need it.
Or here, I got a Formula One race. You can only race it if you have a Formula One car. But now I'm letting in shopping carts, Mustangs, dune buggies, motorcycles, and it's a big clusterfuck. I don't know. I got a lot of people that love motorcycles, so they're watching these, and I got a lot of people that like watching wheelchairs, so they're watching these. And you got this big mess, and where are the Formula One guys?
Right.
They're just way the fuck ahead. Nobody's even watching.
I just don't think that by watering down the sport, you may say it's big and they're making more money by adding more pros, and now you got to have somebody backstage. So that's more money, but the bottom line is, you could get a Rich Piano walking in the room and they'll leave the pro bodybuilder everybody to go run the Rich because the social media has made bodybuilding more of a lifestyle, niche, and that people want to be around the social media stars. They're not that Mr. Olympia could walk through the room. Look, I just told you a story. A couple of years ago, I was at the Arnold Classic, okay, and a guy walked up to me with another guy, and he goes, "Greg, oh my God, blah blah blah," and he said, "I got to ask you a question, Greg. do you know who this is standing next to me? And I'm looking at the guy, and you know, he looks like everybody else that's walking around the expo, you know? And I said, I'm sorry, I have no idea. And he goes to me, I told you. It says to his friend, I told you. And it was the guy who won the Nationals that year. So if whoever won the Nationals, I think it was in 2016 or whatever it was, that it was him. Okay. Now, the bottom line is this: they were trying to make that same statement. They were actually making that to me, like, see, you know, he's not getting the recognition. He's not getting all that, you know, because the people on the internet, believe it or not, if you have the national champ on your show, you're going to get people that are niche to watch that really give a shit who won the nationals.
Right.
You're going to get that. But if you had one of these new, you know, a Nick from that Strength, the Nick Strength guy, who I'm not really crazy about. If you had him on there, you'd have 100 times more views and all that. Why? Because the people, social media has made bodybuilding into a social media sports. It's like a trend. Everybody's bodybuilding, man. Yeah.
But that's good, Greg. That's bringing more people in. You know,
But it's not doing anything for the actual sport.
But it's not bringing it down. It's just bringing more attention to it.
It's watering it down.
No.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Here's the question. I'm going to pose this question to everyone, Mr. G included. You guys each answer. I want a succinct answer. I don't want a 20-minute diatribe.
Go ahead.
How do we make bodybuilding great again? Talking about a Trump slogan. How do you make bodybuilding great in your estimation? What do you do? You want to go? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead. You go first.
Yeah, John.
Who goes?
I'll go first. All right. Well, I think obviously I'm going to use the current situation to describe how you make bodybuilding great again. Number one is you get a guy in charge to own the whole thing who actually has a passion for it and an interest in what's going on.
Well, you got Jake Wood now. That's good.
Exactly. Jake Wood versus David Pecker. David Pecker didn't even know where the fucking gym was, let alone what it looked like on the inside of one, let alone anything about bodybuilding. Now you got in a guy who actually knows the sport, who owns the sport. So huge step number one in making bodybuilding great. I'm not going to say again. I'm going to say bodybuilding really great, like it's never been. So, and that's the way you do it. You get somebody with a passion for it and money that has a vision that can pull from, you know, the amazing resources that we have out there to people that have an interest in fitness and bodybuilding and whatever, and get them together and, you know, create an online buzz about what's going on and promote it with celebrity endorsements, influencers who are interested in bodybuilding, that can make bodybuilding and the associated sports that go with it look attractive and appealing, and the practitioners interesting, and people that are going to that other people are going to want to know more about and want to follow around and want to learn about and want to be fans of. And that's how you do it. Not by I think you can distill it down to this. I'm sorry, I know you didn't want a diatribe, but I'm giving you one anyway.
That's fine.
In order to distill it, okay, you got to refocus the energy. If the focus is on making money, you're going to have a different outcome than if the focus is serving the fans and serving the industry. So if your prime directive is to service the sport and serve the sport and create opportunity, create buzz, create excitement, create prizes, opportunities, all of that stuff that goes along with promoting and serving the participants, versus only working in the realm that's going to return you money. I'm going to spend this because I'm going to get this ROI. I'm going to get this money back. If it's all about making money, then you're going to have what the mess that Jake Wood inherited, because that's what it was. It was all about making money, and that's what we got. So now, hopefully, the focus is going to be more on the athletes, the sport, and the industry, and less on who's me making all my money. And I think you'll see a quantum leap forward.
Yeah, but I don't think it's possible. I don't know. I think that with today, people care more about watching the guys on here. The action is seeing some guy in the gym working out, talking.
But Greg, if you had that, If you had that, if you had that whole developed character, as Dave was talking about, and social media, regular media was promoting and creating these images and these characters, and you knew about them, then when they went to compete, you'd have skin in the game. You go, yeah, I really like that guy. I want him to win.
Right, but
I can't stand that motherfucker. I hope this guy beats him.
But there's none of that, though. They don't have any charismatic. These guys aren't charismatic. Yeah.
Why? Let me ask you this question:
like
why wouldn't the Olympia
WWE
people, somehow do some partnerships with TV? Or
I think
or
they are.
Not interesting. Don't wait.
or TV's dying. They need stuff like that.
They should show like the guy you had, the guy with his family, working, driving Uber, working out. Create a character like the WWE creates these characters and these storylines, and create that and show the guy, that he's got to wake up at 3:30 in the morning and work out because he's got a full-time job because he's not making enough money yet, and he's trying to go show all that with all the guys, and they have to develop the characters. And this way, you're going to want to watch them. That's what the WWE does. They take a character, take somebody from the get-go, and they show them going up the ladder.
They have a whole division. They have a whole character development division.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
That's what Vince McMahon wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah, but that's called
That's
YouTube.
what you should do. These guys got to realize it would be so much better because then you're like, wow, that guy has to go work 15 hours. And then he's going to the gym, and then he's taking care of his kids. He show them as human beings, man.
I think Lou Zwick did a great job. Hold on, Lou Zwick did a great job with that, didn't he? When he was doing American Muscle magazine. I mean, you watched that show. You wanted to be on that. I wanted to be on that show. I mean, when I saw John Cook, and I was jealous that how did this guy land this fucking gig here? I mean, you really were a personality, John, on that show.
You guys are missing the point, though. You're missing the point.
No, I'm not, because you know what? They could create their own YouTube programming. You don't have to be on TV, Greg. Everyone watches YouTube now.
No, I know that, but that's what I'm saying. YouTube. You got YouTube. It's not the character development, all that shit's on YouTube. The problem is that, in my opinion, there's no excitement. Bodybuilding is not the most exciting. To us old school guys, we could get excited by seeing guys pose on stage, and because we know what we're looking at and everything. But the average guy don't give two shits about that. I'm just telling you, they don't. They'd rather see him in the gym, pumping, going at home. The whole Rich Piana thing opened up a totally different thing. These guys don't have personality. There's nothing to sit up there and watch. It's not like watching the UFC, where you're seeing guys bash each other's brains in. And, I mean, that's the fastest growing sport on the planet,
It's action.
It's right. There's no way. Right.
It's like an action. Like watching a live action movie.
Right. The action's on their YouTube channel. When you're seeing them in there and they got the hood on and their puckered face and they're on there and they're fucking lifting and all that shit and they're screaming in the gym and that's the action. But to sit there to fucking 20 guys posing to either fucking music videos doing it, not music, rap music, doing their little stupid fucking shit that they do on stage and. Everybody's going, oh, look at it. Look what he just did. He went like this, It's boring, It's just, you can't sit to a fucking 50 people. The same thing like the girls. When the girls get up there, you got 400 girls. It's like you're falling asleep like this. You know what I mean?
So basically, Greg, if I had free tickets to the Olympia Bikini, I should not give them to you.
I don't want them. I swear to God. It doesn't, I love those girls. Those are my favorite. I mean, I'm not into like super.
Yeah, but you love the one you want to fuck. You don't love the one that you think is the best athlete because she's
no.
got the greatest.
That's what I respect. I respect the fitness girls. The girls that
come on. When the girls are lined up with their ass face in the audience and they're bent over and it's like, oh, look at my head glute ham tie-in. No one's looking at the glute ham tie-in. They're looking at the little thing between their legs.
Right. It's like you're like the dude from fucking Revenge of the Nerds. Oh, hair pie. You know what I mean? Oh, I remember you remember that? The Chinese guy and then the red-haired guy like basically came in his pants. And he's sitting there with this, with the chicks.
Yeah. I could imagine in a legitimate athlete's mind what thoughts she's going through when she's got to turn around and face the curtain and bend over with her legs spread open. And
now, how was that a pose though? That realistically, that was designed for us us like
out into the seventh row, and you know, stand there like that and expect that everybody's looking at her, you know, stellar.
I never understood how that pose passed. Remember back in the day, you couldn't do the moon pose in bodybuilding, show your hamstrings, glutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that was tame compared to what these girls are doing on stage. I think it's a little in poor taste. Matter of fact, the girls that are at the top don't do that. You know, if you notice, they don't bend all over. They don't need to.
No, they cross their legs.
They cross their legs. They do it in a much more sophisticated way, and I think it comes off way better.
Those girls crying for attention, boy. They can stick that chooch out to the fucking back door. I've never seen anybody arch their back so much like that.
But you know what?
Push their prize out the door.
I was at that Universe pose down, and I was with Robbie Duran and Joe Pietaro, and Joe Pietaro, you know, was a horny motherfucker and the whole bit. Okay, and he said to me the classic line after like all these girls came out. He said to me, "I swear to God, I never thought I'd ever say this in my lifetime." He goes, "But if I see one more fucking bikini, I think I'm gonna fucking spit." You know, I can't because after a while. It's like if I showed you Playboy magazine after Playboy, you're like, okay, I get it, you know. It's too much. They watered down the shows. You don't have the elite competitors. That's what I was trying to tell you before about that. And I'm not just using girls' bikini, I mean, even bodybuilders. You knew there was like 25 guys or 20 guys, actually, that were going to go for the Olympia, were going to go for all these pro shows, and you could focus on that. You know what I'm saying? Now, who's going to show up? Fucking John. If I told you, name me the guys in the Olympia, you wouldn't even know who's this fucking guy. You know what I mean? It's this fucking Mo Dickstein and fucking, you know what I mean? And you know, you understand what I'm saying?
But Greg, why did you know who these guys were back, you know, 10, 15 years ago? Because you read the magazines.
There was only
John
like
Romano
20
wrote an article about it, or Peter McGuff wrote an article about these guys, and you read it. And you knew who they were because you learned the background. That's all you can do.
No, but there was 20 of them. Listen to me. When you went to school, there was 15 kids in your class, maybe 20 kids in your class. You knew everybody in your class. But if you sat in a classroom with fucking 2,000 people, you'd be like, I've been in the same class for fucking 4 years, and I haven't, you know, through high school.
Well, that's what happens when you go to a big university. You sit with 300 people in the class. You don't know. And
you don't know you don't know everybody in your class.
No, you don't. No, you don't. But that doesn't make the learning experience any less. It just means
but the thing is, you don't. This is a bodybuilding show. She can't really. It's hard to say who's.
So what you're saying is that they should not have allowed the sport to grow. That's what you're saying.
No, not grow that way. The elite should always remain.
There's more money in the sport. There's more people. There's more interest. You got to grow the sport.
No, there's not more. Wait a minute. Hold on. I disagree with that. There's more money for the fucking promoters and everything, but you haven't grown the sport where the people out there give a shit. Nobody gives a shit. They'd rather watch that fucking Greg Duquette kid or whatever the fuck his name is, or you know, when Rich Piana and all that. You know what I mean?
Let me give you an example. MotoGP, motorcycle racing. There's 6 guys, whose name you hear every race, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. They're the same guys. The same ones, Valentino Rossi, Mark Marquez, Dovizioso. These are the same guys. You see them every week, every track. It's the same 6 guys. So is that sport growing? It's one of the biggest sports in the fucking world. It grows every freaking year, but it's the same 6 guys winning. It's the same 6 guys. So for you to say the Olympia, it's the same top 6. We're going to see the same top 6 every pro show. It's the same 6 guys. Same 6 guys. Is the sport growing? I don't think you can go. You can't measure it by the how many practitioners there are. You got to measure it by how many people want to see it.
By giving away too many pro cards, John, you're creating too many people that have the key to get into that show. Only the best is going to rise to the top, though.
Right. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Greg, you're 100% right. It doesn't matter how many people are competing for it. It matters who are the top guys and why do you want to know who they are?
Right. And you know what? And I'm agreeing with you. If you're talking about the top 6 guys in motocross or whatever it was, right?
Yeah. MotoGP.
Now let me tell you something. If they had fucking 50 guys going for that at one shot, you'd be sitting there going, I can't sit through all these guys doing that shit. You would wait and watch those 6 guys. Am I right or wrong? Listen, how many guys you see, again, Ed Beckley, fucking Aaron Rabinowitz, all these fucking guys, whatever. You go get something out in the lobby, go take a piss. But now, oh shit, Jay Cutler's coming up. He's going to pose like second. So you run out there and you watch him.
Right.
What I'm saying is, they've made it so watered down that it's hard to focus on this sport because there's a new guy. Dave, you put these guys on your shows. I don't even know who the fuck they are. And, they're all super jacked. I've been training like and they're all fucking, giant. Everybody's fucking big.
Well, that's why I have to feature these people because otherwise no one will know the backstories on these people.
No, I'm not putting.
That's why RxMuscle and sites like us are so important because we are the magazines now, and when we feature someone on here, that's why a lot of these, the upcoming guys want to be featured because it validates them in a way that the magazines used to validate us when we were coming up.
Yeah, but I'm not putting it down. I'm not saying what you're doing is bad.
No, I know what you're saying, but it's necessary. It's necessary.
Right. It's necessary. It's great. But what I'm saying is, I don't know who they are. Do you understand what I'm saying?
What? Then sometimes you got to pay a little more attention, Greg.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who they are because you're not excited about knowing who they are.
Right.
If it stimulated you in a way, like, wow, I want to know more about that guy because you watched an interview on RxMuscle and you found out, wow, we're from the same town, or we were into the same high school and we knew the same girl and it was a cheerleader or whatever. So I mean. Once you know more about these people, what Dave is saying, when you know the backstory, when the characters are developed, when you know them, there's a greater chance that you're going to like them and follow them and care about, instead of not caring who they are.
I understand, but
who they are.
You got to make me want to watch that.
But the only way you're going to do that, first you got to want to know about the sport. So you got to care about the sport, devoid of any personality. You got to care about the sport. If you care about the sport, you're going to watch RxMuscle. You're going to watch everything on RxMuscle. You're going to read it.
I do care about the sport, but it's become, again, it's hard to watch when sports expand, even like baseball. If they added another 10 teams, it's not Greg, more exciting.
What you're saying is the number of events have watered down the blanket organization. There's still only top 10 guys in the Olympia.
Right. But you have to weed. Now the garden's got a lot more weeds in it. Where's the fruit? You understand what I mean?
What you're saying is you don't want to get through all of that to get to
I don't want to get through the weeds to get to the fruit. You understand? That's what I'm saying.
It's like girls with long pubic hair. You don't want to weed through all of that. You want to get.
Well, dude, I'm a 70s guy. I like that. Dude, I like the bush, bro. I'm 70s guy. Sorry.
Mr. G, what's your take on this?
On the whole thing is that they should develop it like the WWE characters, and the guys have to be brought up. They should show them working, regular jobs, family, all the things that they had to do to go into training. Like they used to show when the guys in the Olympics, the NBC would show the guy training and how much that guy Alexia would eat. They show him eating all the food and stuff like that, and where he lived. And they got to develop the character inside him. So this way, it's going to make you want to watch, because that's ultimately how these guys want to make money. They have to have personalities. They have to have without a personality. If you're just like then forget it. That's why when we went to when we went to the Arnold with the stage, they had you could have 10,000 girls next to us. Nobody cared. Everybody was watching us because we were entertaining them. We were interacting, and that's what needs to happen.
I agree, but we do have character development. See, the character now today is they go to YouTube. What's going to make them want to see that guy on stage is what I think what Dave's trying to say, because there is character development. Every one of these guys has their own YouTube channel.
Right.
They post their fucking meal, every meal they eat on Instagram. You know what I mean? You get to see their lives on all.
There's no formula for that, for success, because you can have some guy you never even heard of. He's got 3 million followers.
Right.
Who is this guy? Who is he? You never even heard of him. Then you got somebody who's like a fucking legend, and they got like 230,000 followers, and you're like,
exactly.
What the hell?
230. There's someone who got fucking can't even get 10,000. It's strange. It's a fucking odd thing, because the internet, I think, is what's caused this. Is what I've been trying to say.
Well, whose responsibility is it to promote these people?
But
is it the organization? Is it the Olympia people?
The organization.
Who's responsible?
Why? More money.
Well, that's a good question, Dave, because that right there is one of the elements we lost when we lost the magazine business.
Right. That's what I've been trying to say. Well, we worked for the magazine. A guy wanted to see a bodybuilder. He went to a show and he got the magazine. Now today, it's all over the place, and that's what I'm trying to say. Back when we were all together working, for the magazine, it was a different era. It's before there was YouTube. It was before there was Facebook. It was before there was Instagram. It was before there was TikTok and all this shit. These guys now put themselves on all these platforms. I don't need to go to the Olympia to see, like, oh my God, there's Jay Cutler, or it didn't need to do that. Do you understand? Now they do that they would have to go to a show to see that.
But Greg, a 16-year-old kid nowadays is not going to open a magazine. Okay. They only know Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
Yeah, but you're validating everything I'm saying. I'm saying because of that.
But I'm saying it's you can't change that. That's the era we live in. So how do you make bodybuilding great according to your definition? I think it is great still, but according to your definition, how do you make it great using the tool set that we have right now? You have to get there's no excitement in it. Well, I'm asking you for an. I'm making you in charge. I'm making you in charge of the organization. What do you do?
If I ran the circus by Dr. Seuss.
Wait, I think everybody's right. I think George is right about the characters, but that's being done already on those platforms. How do you get people to go to a show? You know what I mean? It's like when people say to me, Greg, how do you get Dave to stop doodling during the show? That's the new thing, by the way. I don't know if you
scratches on the thing.
Greg, I drew a great. I made a great painting honoring you. I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to send it to you. I'm signing it and I'm sending it to you. I don't know if you can see it from where you are. You'll see it when you watch.
The truth will set you free.
You know that's the big conversation on the thing last time. Greg, can you please tell Dave to stop doodling? What is he doodling for?
I'm drawing pictures of you guys. I'm trying to. I like to have like the guys in the courtrum where they actually they're not allowed the cameras in there. The sketch artist, yeah.
Sketch. Anyway, I think we could beat this subject up to death. I just feel that unless you create excitement, there should be more fucking excitement on stage.
It's very simple. The very simple solution to that, extremely simple. I'm going to tell Dan Solomon right after we get off of this. The solution to that is you hire the Smalley brothers.
Dude, they're more interesting to watch.
Could you imagine Bobby Smalls and Mr. G running the entertainment arm of the Olympia?
It would either be disastrous or it would be tremendous. I don't know.
I could picture the Goodyear blimp flying over with midgets dropping out into a pools of Jello, and then running them around. And you got a Jello covered midget, and then the event you got to catch it. You got to run around. You got to catch the Jello covered midget like you had in the warehouse.
Hey, you know what?
Maybe you should have the bikini girls jumping into a big bowl of Jello, John.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Midget bikini, midgets, midget, Mr. G.
There's another division, John. We can add another division to the IFBB right there.
We did the first bikini contest. Triple H, remember?
Why don't they have a division for short people, for little people, John?
Don't?
No. Why? They should have an under 4 foot division or something like that, where people can compete of equal size with each other.
Actually, a good point.
Man,
Right?
I think
that sounds discriminatory.
Could
that
you
they don't have that.
imagine? Could you imagine having a whole freaking show of like 3-foot tall bikini girls?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
You would create such a universe of sexual deviance. You in our fucking world? Are you kidding me?
That's how you make bodybuilding great.
50 fucking half-naked midgets across the state. You're gonna have fucking websites popping up, boom, 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 overnight.
The new schmo sites. Yeah.
Fucking, oh my God, what am I gonna do with all of this?
And imagine if there were some muscle girls too that were like 3 foot 5 inches or something like that. You know.
They're already jacked. They got those little arms, little
like the
legs.
Hobbit division. But you know what?
John is right.
They deserve equal representation. I mean, I know a couple of guys that are very short, that have some growth issues and that are under 4 foot.
But that's the key, though. We're laughing at it, but the truth is, you need excitement to go sit there and watch.
Yeah.
100 fucking people.
Well, Greg, you know what? My solution to that, I agree with you. The shows are too long. I don't even want to go anymore. They should split them up. They should absolutely split them up. You could have Olympia weekend, but you know how Gary Udit does like 4 or 5 days for the Masters Nationals? That's with the Olympia. It should be a week-long thing. You should have like 5 days. You put different divisions on different days. You have Expo open for 5 days straight. At night, you do the night show. During the day, you do the Expo, and it should be a whole week-long thing like WrestleMania
how about this?
is. That would be more interesting. Then you go to the events you want to see. If you want to see a figure.
You're right, but wait a minute. I agree with you. How about that over those 5 days, guys compete, and then the winners go against these guys, and these guys go against these guys until you finally almost like the contender. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like it would be more exciting by the time you peak that shit up. Everybody.
No, but it's hard for bodybuilders to peak over. I'm saying like on Tuesday you have bikini and figure. Wednesday you have fitness and men's physique. Thursday you have women's physique and classic physique. Friday you have 212 and I don't know, whatever I forgot. And then Saturday you have the men's open. This way, the people want to see just the bodybuilding, go to the men's open on Saturday. And that's it. That's what they see. It's a 2-hour show like it used to be. It's exciting.
Then they're going to argue, oh, you can't have bikini on Tuesday because everybody's got to work. It's no fair. You got the men's on. It's the least popular, but they're on Friday,
It's
Saturday
Olympia
night.
weekend. When you have the Olympic, then you put it live stream it on TV. No one can go see these shows anyway, John, with all the COVID and everything like that. You live stream it. You got a week's worth of footage. The Olympics are on TV for 2 weeks straight. And everyone watches what they want to watch. They watch the events that they're into. If my wife's into gymnastics, she watches gymnastics. If I'm into track and field, I watch track and field.
Donald Trump to put it on because look at all the people that go to his rallies.
There you
have
go.
them in the fucking
Let's not talk about Trump. Let's keep it to bodybuilding. But you know what I'm saying? Maybe they need like an event. The Olympia is the Olympics, right? So have it over the course of a week.
Well, they do that for the Arnold. The Arnold's a week long.
Charge for the live stream. Have a good quality live stream.
Yep.
You sit home and you watch it, and they can make money. If I'm a company that sells products that are bikini oriented, like Jimmy Mentis, for instance, he would sponsor the Olympia, the Bikini Olympia. If I'm a hardcore bodybuilding company and I want to sponsor the Open, I sponsor the Open on Saturday night, and that's how you do it. It doesn't even matter who shows up at the show. You know what the truth is, John? The future of bodybuilding is not going to shows anymore. The cult people will go there, but the future of bodybuilding is online. Online TV programming.
Expos are dying anyway, so.
Right.
But I think that the bodybuilding should be bodybuilding. And it's hard. I think.
Would you be better, though, Greg, if Saturday night was just the bodybuilding? So you go to a show and it's just that's all it is? You don't have to watch the other stuff?
Right. Hardcore bodybuilding.
You'd be more interested in that, right?
Absolutely.
So then that's what they should do. That's how you save it.
I think the hardcore bodybuilding should be hardcore.
And Arnold should do the same thing for his Arnold Classic.
Much of this shit. It's so watered down right now. And what's the next division they're gonna fucking that they're gonna add?
Did you see the one in Europe they got where they got to wear the jeans and a suit jacket and no shirt?
Yeah,
no
shirt. Actually, I think there's even a tuxedo thing or some sort of that man contest. It's ridiculous. They're trying to find
like a Chippendale dancer. You come out there.
Yeah, they got tight jeans and a sport coat, but with no shirt.
Yeah, but
So
it's
they got,
green. It's
Look,
greed is
you
taking
can make
over
it. You
because
can make a
the-
division for everyone. You know what the truth is? The small person division, the little people division, is probably the most applicable division that they don't have, because there's a lot of people that train that are in that category. You know, I showcased that one guy. He was like 4 foot tall, who just won the Tampa Amateur overall men's open and classic. The guy was like 140 pounds. So
they can put the dwarfs together with the freaking sexual.
No, I'm being serious, John. I'm saying you could have a real division like that.
They got what do you call it? Gender confused.
They'll have that too. But the point I'm making is that you know what? If you want to keep the Olympia maybe more and the Arnold, the big shows more interesting, break them up. Break them up, because you know what? Gary Udit showed that you can have a very successful show over the course of 4 or 5 days. When he did the North American, he's going to do the same thing for the Masters Nationals coming up. If I want to watch my competitors, I go on the live stream. I watch them when they have the events listed and the exact times they're going to be up there. It's wonderful. You don't have to sit and watch the whole thing anymore. You watch what you want, just like Olympic programming. When the Olympics are on, you don't have to watch the whole thing. You watch it as it happens, the events that you want. You check your schedule. You look at your live stream. That, I think, is going to be the future of how this is done. The hardcore, crazy, fanatical fans who want to see everything and want to see it in person and see the athletes, they'll go to the show, and that's fine. But that's not the majority of the people who watch the Olympia. Would you agree?
I think I would agree. I think that keep bodybuilding with bodybuilding. Nobody watches bikini to see the line. They all look the same.
But no, Greg, you're wrong. There's bikini people who like the bikini division. They're women who compete.
Because they're horny fucks.
But whatever the case may be, that's fine. Let them watch their bikini programming on Wednesday or whenever that happens to be.
So basically what you're saying is we have Freak Show Friday, where everything goes, and then you reserve the hallowed evening of Saturday for the main event, which is men's bodybuilding,
right?
And then you weed in everything around it. Look, the Arnold Classic, Arnold Fitness Weekend, that's a week long. They got 32 sports or 100 sports, 32 of them are Olympic sports, whatever it is. That goes on all week long. You don't even know it. They got cheerleading, karate, the parachute, pole dancing.
But the people who are into gymnastics are watching gymnastics. They love it.
Exactly. And they got multiple events going on at the same time, because if you want to watch this, you're not watching that. There's definitely a way to do it. What they got to understand is what is Gregg's point. Gregg's point is the what's being watered down is the legitimacy and the mystique of the Olympia, of being Mr. Olympia. You can't be Miss Olympia anymore. They fucked that up almost forever. I hope Jake can.
Thank you. And they built this sport. They built the Arnold Classic on male bodybuilding and female bodybuilding.
Yep.
They built that show on that.
But that's all there was, Greg. That's all there was.
I know that. But the thing is now, by adding so many more weeds to the garden, to me, listen, I understand there's horny motherfuckers out there. They want to watch the bikini girls. Okay, there's nothing wrong with bikini girls, but keep them fuckers away from my bodybuilding. My bodybuilding is my bodybuilding. You understand what I'm saying? That shit used to be in fucking wet t-shirt contests. That shit used to be in bars, on boardwalks. Who's Miss Bikini boardwalk, whatever. Keep that shit with that. It's I respect the fact that I know some of these girls train hard and all that, whatever. But bodybuilding is bodybuilding. And the IFBB card was like saying, I am an elite. It's no longer saying I am an elite. You know what I mean? It's like when the New York Mets, they sucked so bad in the 70s. They used to have the tickets on the back of milk cartons. You could cut a fucking ticket and go to a Met game by buying a certain milk. You know what I mean? It's so watered down right now. And they've made it so unpleasurable, I
disagree with most of what you're saying, but I agree with what you're saying. It's very hard to sit and watch a whole show. And you know what the truth is? The sport's grown so much, you shouldn't have to. They have live streaming. I don't have to go to a show to appreciate bodybuilding anymore, because the live streaming is real time. The connections are good. They've figured it out. They've done it before. Live stream these events, put up the schedule. You watch when you want to watch, what you want to watch, and it makes it super easy. And you know what? In the next 5 years, you're going to get these supplement sponsors that were spending tons of money on expos and setting up booths, they're going to spend the money on advertising on these live streams. So the revenue will still be there for the promoters. It'll just be channeled into a different way. Because if I'm watching a live stream of the Olympia and I'm seeing, Gaspari Nutrition, flashed up there in my face in commercials, that's some serious branding right there, So I don't need a booth at the expo. That might be passe, especially now with this virus, and who knows what the next virus we're going to get is. You got to figure out a new business model.
Expos are going away to magazines.
Well, we got to fit the new business model to fit the new era that we're in here.
Well, you got to look at it this way. It was only 12 years ago, Dave, when we started RxMuscle.
Yeah.
All right, so February would be 12 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's only been 12, 15 years since this whole change from magazines to online has occurred. It's not a lot of time.
No.
So, I mean, basically, we are in an evolutionary period right now. And so, like what Dave is saying, the future is going to be, everything virtual, because you can watch five of them. No matter if you put 10 TV screens on your wall, you can watch 10 different things.
Right.
And that's how much variety and diversity you're going to be able to have in your contest watching pleasure. So we're in that flux stage right now.
That's
so
exactly
we're moving out of print into digital, and what's the digital
technology is doubling every year.
Extent of what digital is going to provide to us in the way of accessibility, choosability, convenience, and coverage. I mean, if you're going to get great coverage of an event online in a virtual setting, way better than you could get if you were actually sitting there, it doesn't make sense to go.
Right.
But
and you know what? Think about it.
We're in that flux stage right now.
When they hold the Academy Awards, do you think they just wing it? They hire choreographers to come in and choreograph the whole Academy Awards ceremony, right? Everyone knows what they're going to do, where it's going to happen, but they're not leaving it up to the expediters backstage. They're hiring a professional group of people to come in and choreograph how the show's going to run. That's what I think they need to do to take the Olympia to that next elite level, so that it becomes great programming on TV, not just a camera with Bob talking in the background. It's a camera with production value to it.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Get Kai Green in there. Hire him as one of the people to choreograph the whole night. He's a creative genius. That guy.
Absolutely. We don't use our geniuses in this industry.
No, you made a good point, John. It's very new. This is all new. We're learning. That's how you make bodybuilding cool, right? Because now if you watch it at home and there's a lot of showmanship and it looks like pomp and circumstance and it looks exciting, to the average person who are watching it, they're gonna be like, this is like really cool. I got to get involved in this. I want to work out. I want to compete. That's going to make people want to go to the gym and get involved in bodybuilding.
I agree. I agree 100%.
The gym videos, all that shit. The thing is, though, the only thing is I can't watch too many people pose down. Maybe 15. Like back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
That's the most you're going to have anyway at the Olympia, Greg.
Yeah, but I'm saying, today with all this, after watching 50,000 girls and then the board short guys and then
I just said you're not going to have to watch them. You're going to have a TV schedule of when they're going to be on. You can skip those girls.
I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
The thing is, too, I also think that you got to also make the bodies a little bit more pleasing, and I like.
We can't recreate the wheel here. Let's just take care of the production value first.
You're gonna see what shows up. You're gonna have nothing control over that.
I think classic physique is definitely going to become one day. That's where the next Arnold's going to come from. The guy who crosses over into, movies and all that stuff.
Probably going to be Arnold's son. Feel legit.
Yeah, his son has his soul. He has his soul. You know what I mean? He has.
Yeah, but I don't think
when you see the kid, you see Arnold. The other kids don't.
I know Patrick.
Patrick's
not. He's not going to bodybuild or any of that. I mean, work out, but he's not going to get into the sport.
He's going to be president. That's what he's going to be.
That would be cool.
I wouldn't doubt it. You mark my words. One of the Schwarzenegger sons will be president.
I don't know. They'd be starting to get in politics now, and they're not.
Nah, you'll see. Patrick will be president. He'll be the president one day.
I know Patrick. I mean, he's a nice kid, but I can't picture him being a president.
Well, I'm sure you could have said the same thing about John Kennedy Jr. when he was a kid too.
I remember when Dave interviewed. Remember when you interviewed Maria Shriver?
Yeah, I interviewed Patrick too, because you grabbed her.
He was scared to death. He's like, "What should I do?" I go, "Let's go talk to her."
Yeah, the Smalley brothers talked me into getting Maria Shriver. She's like, I don't really do interviews. I said, come on, Maria, just a couple questions. And she actually interviewed with me. So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Patrick's a good kid, though. He's a nice kid. I can't. Politics.
Why is he so out of shape and overweight?
Who is?
Who?
Actually.
No, the other one. That's the other one.
Another one. I mean, what's the other one's name?
Oh, the younger one.
Yeah, the younger one. The one the mother raised.
The daughter's very pretty, too. She looks just like the wife.
Yeah, but the young son is a.
I forgot what.
One son is out of shape. The other one looks great. You know whose son also? I wouldn't be surprised if it went to politics. Louis Ferrigno's son. Lou Jr. is a good-looking kid too. You know, very articulate.
I got to make some money.
All right, yeah, I got to go too. All right, guys, thanks for this. This was a great show. I love this debate. We'll keep it raging, and hopefully we'll throw a lot of ideas out there that maybe will be incorporated into some future shows. And you never know where this could wind up. You got to put the thoughts out there to the universe, and then the reality is created. For now, I'm Dave Palumbo with John Romano, Gregg Valentino, Mr. G. For our producer Tyler Shaw, we'll see you next week.
I love you guys, and I love bodybuilding. Don't think I don't.
Jimmy, we missed you.